Derek is one of the nicest dudes you'll ever meet. I'm not just saying that because he's Mr. Olympia or whatever. Like, I've met the guy multiple times. I've talked to him on the phone. Derek is genuinely 100% one of the nicest people I've ever met. There's something that I wanted to talk about that's been pretty controversial and been a hot topic amongst the bodybuilding community, and that is the Mr. Olympia, specifically referencing Derek and Hottie. Derek Lunsford, who won the 2023 Mr. Olympia, and Hottie, the previous 2022 Mr. Olympia. I've been watching this video. I've watched it a few times now. I've seen a lot of clips, I've seen a lot of pictures. The first thing that I want to say to everyone who has never actually been to a bodybuilding show, maybe you're a bodybuilding fan, and most of the time you're watching on Instagram or YouTube or whatever, and you've never actually been in person to a bodybuilding show. The first thing that I want to say is that you can absolutely not judge a bodybuilding show on Instagram or YouTube, regardless of filters or cameras or whatever. Like, these guys look completely different whenever you're there in person. Those judges sitting 15 feet away from these guys have the absolute best view of what these guys look like. Just changing the angle of how you're seeing these guys in the distance completely obscures what you're seeing. The things that you're not seeing might be that 1% body fat, better conditioning on one guy versus another, or a color difference or a size difference, tiny, slightly, but these judges have the best point of view of anybody. So a lot of people are seeing this stuff on Instagram and YouTube, and they're not seeing these guys in person. So that's the first takeaway. Is the biggest thing is like, guys, I know that it's easy to look at these pictures and be like, oh, I think this guy should have won. One, most of you guys have no idea how to judge a bodybuilding show or what would win a bodybuilding show. So keep that in mind, that there's specific criteria on a scorecard that these guys are being scored by. There's an actual scorecard, and they have an actual score. And I saw the scorecards, and it wasn't close in the prejudging or the finals. Like, it was within a few points, but like, Derek won both the prejudging and the finals. And I think that he won the finals by a bigger deficit than what he did the prejudging. So he won in the morning and then came back and dominated in the evening. So it's not like it was this 1-point decision or 2-point decision. So that's the first things that I wanted to say. Second thing is that I don't see what the big controversy is. Like the one thing that I think that the people who are saying Hottie should have won, that would make me side in their favor, is that Hottie was the returning champion. And to beat the returning champion, you have to beat him. Like, you have to dethrone the champion. You have to be a good bit better than the last year's Mr. Olympia. You can't just come in and have this like split decision of this judge thinks this guy, this judge thinks that guy. Like, it's got to be unanimous across the judges. You know, so it being as close as it was, I could see the guys who wanted to see Hottie win. I could see why they think Hottie should have won. But again, guys, you're not there in person, seeing these guys and what their conditioning and size actually looks like there in front of the judges. I don't know. I look at this stuff. I look at these pictures and these videos of Derek and Hottie, and the conditioning is neck and neck. I almost side with Hottie on the conditioning slightly. But whenever Derek turns around from the back, his glutes are peeled. His back is massive. Hottie is the same. I feel like his back is denser, but Derek has the density and the width. He's just, like, whenever they turned around, to me, it was lights out. Samson, Some people said that any of these three guys could have won, and they could have seen it going to any three of these top three guys. Samson, I don't even think is in the conversation. He turned around and his conditioning just wasn't there. Like, he's massive, and like, I'm a Samson Dauda fan, but whenever he turned around and I saw that he didn't have striated glutes, his hamstrings weren't as peeled as the other two guys, I just knew that he was getting third. Like, you could have just left Derek and Hottie up there and let them battle it out. But lastly, you know, that's the specifics, and I could go further into detail into the things that I saw and the things that I agree with and don't agree with. But the other thing that I wanted to address was all the hate that Derek has been getting. I just think it's massively unjustified. Like, okay, you don't agree with the decision. Big deal. Like, leave it alone. The fact that Derek had to shut down his Instagram account because he was getting so much hate, that's ridiculous. Like, I just don't understand it. First off, Derek is one of the nicest dudes, most respectful guys. Even whenever Hottie stormed off, which I think was a dick move. I mean, I get it. You're pissed. You just lost the Mr. Olympia title along with $250,000 extra. Like, that's $250,000 that he fumbled. So, like, I get it. But, like, Derek didn't do that whenever you beat him last year. Like, show him the same respect. Derek is one of the nicest dudes you'll ever meet. And, you know, I'm not just saying that because he's Mr. Olympia or whatever. Like, I've met the guy multiple times. I've talked to him on the phone. Derek is genuinely 100% one of the nicest people I've ever met. He's a God-fearing man. He's a Christian guy who respects everybody and even showed Hottie respect after he acted that way. Like, the level of class that Derek showed whenever he was asked about Hottie's reaction just goes to show the type of champion that he is. And that, honestly, I think that is the final nail in the coffin for him winning the Mr. Olympia. Is like, he's just a great champion. Like, what better ambassador for the sport than Derek Lunsford? I don't think there is one. I did a posing clinic with the guy 4 or 5 years ago, and he literally, and this is on his rise. Now, remember, like, years ago, he was a 212 Mr. Olympia. Like, he wasn't just nobody and then showed up and just started winning Mr. Olympia. Like, he built his way up. He was a 212 Mr. Olympia, and then he moved to the Open. And this is back whenever he was winning. Like, he didn't have to be that type of guy. But, like, even back then, whenever I was in this posing clinic with him, he literally pulled me off to the side, worked with me one-on-one, specifically saw some weak points in my posing and wanted to address it, and gave me that one-on-one time. Like, he didn't have to do that. He's just a super nice guy, and he shows it in every way. And, like, it's not one of those things where whenever he's in front of people, he's a nice dude, and then whenever the camera's off, he's something completely different. Like, every single time I've met him or talked to him, he's been the exact same person. So I wholeheartedly disagree with the way that he has been received as the new Mr. Olympia. This whole controversy has been something that I wanted to address because it's turned into this massive thing. People are still talking about whether Hottie should have won or not. It's like, you can sit back and Monday morning quarterback all you want. But at the end of the day, Derek won, and next year Hottie can come back and try to take it back. Derek won, and people need to give him the respect that they gave Hottie last year whenever he won. It's not like Derek came in and was out of shape and had a torn bicep and, like, just clearly didn't deserve it. Like, this dude has been climbing the ranks for years. He's been battling out for Mr. Olympia. He's been in the top 3 for the last few years. Like, a lot of people saw this coming. Like, if people can say that Samson Dauda could have won and not been controversial, then there's no issue here with Derek winning. I just don't believe that there's a problem. That's my feelings on it. And Derek, I would like to congratulate you, and say that I'm super proud of you, man, and I'm glad to see that we have such a great ambassador of the sport.